Hey mga kabiel, RhuiKaida here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a heart-throbbing, kilig-filled one-shot boys love story that will make you believe in second chances and forever. Get ready for passion, pain, and a love that refuses to fade. Kung handa ka ng masaktan at kiligin, let's dive in. The grand ballroom of the Imperial Manila Hotel shimmered with opulence. Every corner meticulously decorated with cascading orchids, golden chandeliers, and champagne fountains that glittered under the soft glow of antique lighting. Tonight wasn't just another elite gathering. It was the celebration of a political and corporate alliance, the engagement of Adrian, Villafuerte, and Emilio de Leon, heirs to the two most powerful dynasties in the Philippines. Waiters in white gloves glided across the marble floor, offering glasses of vintage wine and delicacies, flown in from Paris and Tokyo. Socialites, politicians, and celebrities filled the grand hall, whispering about the engagement, some admiring, others scandalized. Two men arranged to be married. It was a headline worthy of the front page. On the dais at the front of the ballroom stood Emilio de Leon, tall and statuesque, exuding the composed arrogance of a man used to power. Dressed in a deep navy Armani tuxedo, he looked like he belonged to a royal family. But his jaw was tight, his eyes cold, lips pressed into a hard line. He barely acknowledged Adrian beside him. Adrian, in stark contrast, glowed with a nervous excitement. He stood slightly shorter than Emilio, his frame more delicate, his expression soft, even loving. His light brown eyes scanned the room nervously, occasionally flitting to Emilio, hoping for a glance, a smile, anything. But Emilio refused to look at him. When a family friend came over to congratulate them, Emilio responded with a curt nod, while Adrian managed a gracious smile. "You two make a beautiful couple," the woman gushed. "I always knew the Villafuertes and De Leon would merge. The future of this country is in good hands." Adrian bowed his head modestly. "Thank you, ma'am." Emilio gave a tight, disinterested smile. The woman left, satisfied. Adrian turned to him. "You don't have to act like you're being sentenced to death," Adrian said quietly, attempting a joke. "It's just one evening." Emilio's eyes finally met his, sharp and unyielding. "I never asked for this. You know that." Adrian swallowed. "Neither did I, but maybe it doesn't have to be so bad." Emilio looked away as if even making eye contact was too much. "Don't fool yourself, Adrian. This is nothing more than a business transaction." Adrian's smile faltered, the hope in his eyes dimming. "Right. I understand." The orchestra played a soft waltz, and couples began to move onto the dance floor. Adrian glanced at the crowd and then back to Emilio. "They'll expect us to dance," Adrian said softly. Emilio didn't move. "Then let them expect. I'm not performing for them." Humiliation burned on Adrian's cheeks. He nodded once and stepped away. "I need some air," he mumbled. No one noticed Adrian slip through the side doors into the hotel's private garden. It was quieter here, the sound of the music muffled by the thick walls. Lanterns hung among the trees, casting a soft, magical glow over the trimmed hedges and fountains. Adrian took a deep breath, willing himself not to cry. He had promised himself he wouldn't ruin his own engagement party. He wandered deeper into the garden, his dress shoes crunching against gravel. Then he heard it, a laugh. A woman's laugh, soft and breathy. Curious, he stepped quietly around a tall hedge and froze. There, in the shadows beneath a gazebo, stood Emilio, his Emilio, locked in a passionate kiss with a tall, stunning woman. She had her arms wrapped around his neck, fingers tangled in his neatly styled hair, while Emilio held her waist tightly, pressing her to him like he couldn't get enough. Adrian's breath caught in his throat. He couldn't move, couldn't look away. The kiss lasted long, too long. It wasn't a polite farewell peck or a mistake. It was intimate, desperate, full of desire. Adrian felt his knees weaken, his chest tighten, and his vision blur. The air suddenly felt too thick. His hands trembled. A sharp sob escaped his lips. Startled, Emilio pulled away from the woman and turned. His eyes widened when he saw Adrian standing there, frozen like a ghost. "Adrian," Adrian stumbled back. "Don't." "Listen, Adrian shook his head, his heart breaking with each word. "I should have known. You made it clear you didn't want this. I just didn't know how much you hated me." "I don't hate you." "Don't lie to me, Emilio." Adrian's voice cracked. "I spent years hoping you'd see me, that maybe, just maybe, you'd learn to love me." The woman looked uncomfortable, stepping back into the shadows, but Emilio didn't move. "You don't understand," he said, his voice rough. I never had a choice either. Neither did I, Adrian shouted. But I still tried. I still hoped. I loved you, Emilio. Silence. Adrian wiped his tears, his hands trembling. But not anymore. He turned and ran from the garden, ignoring Emilio's call behind him. He didn't care about the party, the guests, the future they were supposed to build. He just wanted to disappear. Back inside, chaos broke out as people noticed his absence. Emilio returned to the ballroom moments later, looking pale and lost. His father approached. What happened? Where is Adrian? I don't know, Emilio lied. That night, Adrian locked himself in his hotel suite and cried until sunrise. The next morning, he went to his parents. I'm calling off the engagement. His mother's face paled. Adrian, what are you saying? I can't marry him, Mama. Please don't make me. I want to leave. I want to go to South Korea. His father stood in silence before finally sighing. If that's truly what you want, it is. He left the country that night. Behind him, Emilio stared at an untouched phone screen with Adrian's name on it, fingers hovering, regret tearing through him. But he never pressed call. The terminal was awash in the soft hum of boarding announcements, the occasional beep of scanners, and the hushed chatter of travelers bidding farewells. Adrian Villafuerte stood by the departure gate of Ninoy, Aquino International Airport, wearing a beige coat over a turtleneck, his suitcase by his side. His eyes were misted with emotion, but his jaw remained firm. His mother clutched him tightly, sobbing into his shoulder. Anak, my baby, are you really leaving? Adrian nodded, though he couldn't bring himself to speak right away. He held her just as tightly, swallowing the lump in his throat. Mama, he finally said, brushing back her hair like he used to when he was little. I need this. I need to find myself again. But South Korea is so far. So cold, what if you get sick? What if you're lonely, what if… Mama, he said gently, cupping her face. I'll be okay. Kuya is there, and I need to start over. Please understand. His mother let out another sob. He broke your heart, didn't he? Adrian didn't answer. His father stepped forward, stoic as always, but there was a softness in his eyes that betrayed the pride and worry buried deep within. I know you're hurting, son, he said, pulling Adrian into a firm embrace. But I also know you're strong. The world is bigger than Manila. Bigger than the De Leons. Adrian clung to his father, drawing strength from him. Make your name, Adrian, his father continued. Live not for us, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Be happy. Tears spilled down Adrian's cheeks. I will, Papa, I promise. His mother kissed his forehead over and over. Eat well, sleep enough, don't overwork. I'll call every Sunday, Adrian smiled, voice shaking. I love you, Mama. We love you more, she whispered, sobbing again. When the final boarding call rang out, Adrian took one last look at them, his parents, his home, his past, and stepped into the gate without turning back. South Korea welcomed Adrian with the chill of early autumn and the bright lights of Seoul's endless skyline. His eldest brother, Alexander, waited at the arrival area, arms open wide. You really did it, Alex said, his voice proud and emotional. You really left everything. Adrian nodded and threw himself into his brother's embrace. I needed a new beginning. Alex smiled and ruffled his hair. Then welcome to your new world, little brother. For the first few months, Adrian struggled. The language, the pace of life, the anonymity, it was overwhelming. But he buried himself in the world of fashion, interning at his brother's atelier, learning the ropes from design to production to presentation. He found solace in sketching late at night, pouring his broken heart into silks and stitches, and over time something beautiful began to bloom. Adrian's designs were bold, ethereal, unapologetically romantic. They captured hearts on the Seoul runways, then in Tokyo, then Shanghai. People didn't just see fabric, they felt stories, heartbreak, hope, rebirth. By his 4th year, Adrian had launched his own label, Villafuerte Seoul, and by the 6th, he was hailed as one of Asia's most brilliant young designers. Gone was the wide-eyed, lovesick boy of Manila. In his place stood a man of poise and confidence. His features sharpened with age, his cheekbones defined, lips full and captivating. His style was immaculate, effortlessly cool yet always tailored. He looked like he belonged on the cover of a luxury magazine, like a K-pop idol who ruled runways instead of stages. Yet, in the privacy of his atelier, he still carried the scar. the betrayal. The kiss, the garden. He had buried Adrian Villafuerte of the Philippines and risen anew as Adrian V, darling of the fashion world. But fate, as always, had plans for unfinished stories. The gleaming floors of the De Leon Grand Mall echoed under Adrian's polished leather boots. Dressed in a structured black trench coat and slim-fit trousers, he exuded confidence. His presence drew attention, not just from store managers, eager to please a potential high-end tenant, but from curious onlookers who whispered about the impossibly handsome man with the K-drama aura. He was scouting for the perfect location for his first flagship boutique in the Philippines. Fashion Week was in 2 days, and Adrian was back, not as the broken-hearted boy who once fled the country, but as a visionary designer about to reclaim his roots. He stepped into a minimalist luxury space, sunlight dancing through its wide glass panels when he felt it. That gaze. Burning, possessive, unrelenting. He turned casually, eyes scanning the crowd, and then he saw him. Emilio de Leon, the same man who once kissed a woman at their engagement party. The same man who broke his heart without even knowing it. Emilio was still devastatingly handsome, broad-shouldered, in his tailored navy suit, his face more chiseled, his aura commanding. But there was something else now. A hunger in his gaze. He approached like a predator who had found his prey. "Excuse me," Emilio said, voice deep, smooth, and dangerously confident. "I couldn't help but notice you. Have we met before?" Adrian tilted his head slightly, lips curling into a cold, amused smirk. "I don't believe so." Emilio's eyes narrowed slightly. He was rarely wrong about people. And this man sparked something in him. Curiosity, desire, familiarity. "I'm Emilio de Leon," he said, extending his hand. Adrian stared at it for a beat, then shook it briefly. "Adrian," he replied, cool and detached. "No last name." Emilio stepped closer. "You're not Filipino, are you?" "I was," Adrian said, already turning away. But Emilio wasn't letting him walk away that easily. Over the next several days, it began. Emilio showed up at the same cafes, at fashion show previews. Even at a private trunk show Adrian was invited to. "You're following me," Adrian said coldly one evening, sipping wine under the city lights of Makati. "I'm fascinated," Emilio replied with a smirk, leaning in. "You've got this untouchable thing going on, and I don't like not getting what I want." Adrian leaned back, then learned to live with disappointment. But Emilio didn't stop. He sent flowers, black roses, rare orchids. Adrian had them sent back unopened. He sent handwritten notes, mysterious, teasing, bold. Adrian burned them. He tried charm, wit, lavish gifts. Adrian ignored them all. But every time they crossed paths, Emilio did something that broke all rules. He kissed him. In elevators. In doorways. On the cheek at first. Then on the corner of his lips. Then fully, firm, aggressive kisses that Adrian would push away from with shaking, hands and burning cheeks. "Stop doing that!" Adrian snapped once, after Emilio pinned him against a wall in a gallery's back hallway. Emilio grinned, brushing his thumb over Adrian's lower lip. "Why? You look like you missed it." Adrian slapped his hand away. "I don't know what kind of sick game you're playing, but I'm not interested." But Emilio could feel it, the tension, the heat, the way Adrian's breathing hitched every time their bodies brushed. The resistance only made him want Adrian more. He wanted to see Adrian lose control. To surrender. To be his. "You hate me, don't you?" Emilio asked one night, cornering Adrian after a gala where the designer had stolen the show in a velvet suit that hugged every sharp line of his body. Adrian's eyes were sharp. "I despise you." Emilio's lips brushed his ear. "That just makes this more exciting." Adrian shoved him away, heart pounding, hating how much his body betrayed him. Why did he still feel something? Why did Emilio's scent still haunt him? Why did his lips, his stupid, sinful lips, feel like fire? It was war now. A twisted, erotic, relentless war. And Adrian swore he wasn't going to lose again. But Emilio had a secret weapon. The De Leon estate's private study had not been opened in years. Dust had settled on the dark mahogany shelves, the air thick with silence. Emilio was sorting through old archives. His mother insisted he review family memorabilia, business documents, and contracts. He had no expectations, and yet fate had a cruel sense of humor. His hand froze over a leather-bound folder, its gold seal catching the dim light. Inside was a single photograph. Adrian, younger, softer, eyes still full of innocence and hope, Standing beside Emilio in their formal engagement announcement, their hands gently linked, their smiles forced. A wave of emotion hit Emilio so hard he sat back in the antique leather chair. Stunned. Adrian Villafuerte. His Adrian. Everything clicked. The engagement. The heartbreak. The garden. The man he had been obsessing over for weeks. The one who haunted his dreams and rejected his kisses was the very boy he'd once cast aside. Fuck, he whispered, guilt flooding him. But beneath the guilt was something darker. Possessiveness. Obsession. He wasn't just chasing a mystery man now. He was chasing the one who got away. He had let Adrian go once. He wouldn't make that mistake again. And this time he would make Adrian his. At any cost. Later that night, Emilio stood in his parents' private living room pacing. His mother looked up from her teacup. You look haunted. I need to ask you something, Emilio said. His father raised a brow. Go on. Our engagement with the Villafuertes, was it ever officially called off? His mother blinked, confused. No. After Adrian left, everything just fell through. We assumed he didn't want it. No papers were filed? Emilio pressed. Nothing. Why? Emilio's lips curled. Because I'm making it happen now. His parents exchanged glances. His mother hesitated. Are you sure, hijo? I'm not asking for permission. The next day, Adrian was reviewing showroom designs in a luxury hotel suite when he heard the knock. He opened the door and his stomach dropped. Emilio, in a black silk shirt and slacks, looking like sin incarnate. What do you want? Adrian asked coldly. Emilio stepped in without permission. We need to talk. Adrian folded his arms. Unless you're here to apologize for being a walking disaster, I'm not interested. You're still my fiancé, Emilio said, voice calm, deadly. Adrian froze. What? Our engagement was never annulled. Legally and socially, you're still mine. You can't be serious, Adrian spat. I've never been more serious, Emilio replied. I've spoken to both our parents. The wedding is being arranged. I'm not letting you go again. Adrian's jaw clenched. I'm not marrying you. Emilio stepped forward, towering over him. You will. Because I always get what I want. Adrian pushed him. I'm not something you can own. But you are, Emilio growled, catching his wrist. You were promised to me. And I don't break promises. Adrian slapped him hard. But Emilio only grinned. That night, Adrian found himself at a bar in Bonifacio High Street. The bass heavy and the lights dim. He downed shot after shot of soju and whiskey, ignoring every text, every call. The world was spinning. He was just about to stumble off his stool when strong arms caught him. What the hell, he mumbled. Emilio. Of course it's you, Adrian slurred, head dropping on Emilio's shoulder. Emilio smirked. You really shouldn't drink this much alone. Someone might take advantage of you. Isn't that what you're here for? Adrian laughed bitterly. I'm here, Emilio whispered, pulling him close, to bring you home. He carried Adrian to his private car, placing him gently on the back seat, and drove to the De Leon mansion. Adrian's eyes fluttered open as Emilio laid him on the silk sheets of the master bedroom. You're still beautiful, Emilio murmured. Adrian grabbed his collar. Then show me. Emilio's eyes darkened. You don't know what you're asking for. I do, Adrian said, biting his lip. Use me, Emilio. Isn't that what you've always wanted? That broke Emilio's last restraint. Their lips crashed, wild and unforgiving. Hands roamed, clothes were torn, gasps echoed in the room. Emilio kissed down Adrian's throat, leaving possessive marks. Adrian's fingers tangled in Emilio's hair. Their bodies locked in a feverish rhythm. It was raw. Hot! Addictive. By the end of the night, Adrian lay panting beneath Emilio, his body spent, his heart racing. Emilio brushed a strand of hair from his flushed face and smirked. I've already claimed your body, he whispered against Adrian's lips. Soon I'll have your heart and soul too. You're mine, Adrian. You always have been. And Adrian, his eyes closing in exhaustion and confusion, didn't argue. Not anymore. Sunlight crept through the sheer curtains of the De Leon master bedroom, casting soft golden light across the silk sheets. Adrian stirred, his head pounding with a dull ache. As he blinked against the morning brightness, the weight of the bed shifted beside him. He turned and froze. Emilio, bare, asleep. And so was he. Adrian gasped, clutching the blanket to his chest. Oh my God, Emilio opened one eye, a lazy smirk spreading across his face. Good morning, fiancé. You... Adrian's voice trembled with rage and embarrassment. You took advantage of me. You begged me, Emilio said, stretching with delicious satisfaction. Repeatedly, loudly. Adrian flushed crimson, glaring. I was drunk! And irresistible, Emilio added, sitting up. You kissed me first. Straddled me, remember? I hate you, Adrian hissed, pressing the pillow over his face. Emilio leaned in, his lips brushing Adrian's bare shoulder. Hate me all you want. You're mine now. I've claimed you body and soul. You're insufferable, Adrian muttered. But you moaned my name last night like I was your religion, Emilio teased. Adrian groaned. I hate you more now. Later that evening, the De Leon mansion buzzed with activity. Long tables were set, and the finest silverware gleamed under the chandelier's warm glow. The Villafuertes arrived with smiles, their matriarch excitedly hugging Emilio, then Adrian. You boys are glowing, she said. What did you do? Elope without us? Adrian stiffened, tugging at his high-collared shirt. Emilio chuckled, eyes twinkling. Something like that. Mr. De Leon leaned in. You look flushed, Adrian. You sick? Adrian gave a tight smile. Just tired, hangover. Mrs. Villafuerte tilted her head. And what are those marks? Are those hickeys? Adrian nearly choked on his water. Emilio grinned proudly, leaning back with an arm slung over Adrian's chair. Couldn't help myself, Emilio said with zero shame. Emilio! Adrian snapped in a whisper. Their mothers exchanged knowing giggles while their fathers chuckled. We're glad to see you getting along, Mr. Villafuerte said. This marriage will be good for both families. Adrian lowered his gaze, cheeks burning. Every time he shifted, his body ached from their previous night's passion, and every brush of Emilio's fingers along, his thigh under the table, made it worse. You'll be wed in 3 months, Mrs. De Leon declared. In Tagaytay Highlands, elegant, private, and exclusive. Adrian nodded mutely. There was no escape. Actually, Emilio interjected, his hand now possessively curled around Adrian's. I have a proposal. Everyone turned to him. I want to host a grand fashion gala, a collaboration between De Leon International and Adrian's brand. The launch of our shared empire and Adrian's proper debut as a Villafuerte de Leon. Adrian blinked, stunned. Our designers, his vision. One stage, Emilio continued. The fashion world will watch Adrian shine. Just as he deserves. The room applauded, but Adrian was still reeling. Emilio leaned in and whispered in his ear, You're mine, Adrian. I'll give you the world. And make sure you never want to run from me again. And for once, Adrian couldn't find the strength to argue, not with his heart betraying him already. The grand ballroom of Manila Peninsula pulsed with lights, glittering like a constellation of stars. Every inch screamed luxury and artistry. This was the event of the year, a fashion gala that merged elegance with power, and at the center of it all was Adrian Villafuerte. Adrian stood backstage, watching the final model strut down the runway in his signature piece, a cascading white suit embroidered with silver phoenixes. The crowd erupted into applause. Adrian clutched his chest, emotions rising. 6 years ago, he left the country heartbroken. Now he returned as a legend. The lights dimmed. A single spotlight shone on Emilio de Leon, who stood center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Emilio's voice rang through the ballroom, steady and resonant. Tonight isn't just about fashion. It's about stories. It's about second chances, gasps echoed. Adrian's breath caught. Emilio turned toward him, eyes soft but unwavering. I was blind to what I had in front of me years ago. I let pride dictate my heart. But not anymore. A quiet murmur swept across the crowd. Adrian, Emilio continued, you are the reason I wake up wanting to be a better man. You're the fire that shaped this heart, and I was a fool for ever making you feel unwanted. Adrian stepped onto the stage, the spotlight splitting between them. Emilio dropped to one knee. A black velvet box opened. Gasps again. Adrian Villafuerte, will you marry me? Tears welled in Adrian's eyes, cascading silently. Yes, he whispered, voice trembling. Yes. The crowd erupted into cheers. Emilio stood and pulled him into a fierce embrace, sealing their reunion with a kiss that sent a collective sigh through the audience. That night, the De Leon penthouse glowed with candlelight. Adrian stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, champagne in hand, still dressed in his gala suit. I can't believe you did that in front of everyone, he said softly. Emilio came up behind him, arms circling his waist. I needed the world to know that you are mine, that I'm yours. He turned Adrian around slowly, gently undoing his tie. Tonight you gave them a show, Emilio murmured, fingers grazing Adrian's buttons. Now let me worship the designer. Adrian's breath hitched. You're so full of yourself. And you're full of beauty I've waited too long to taste again. Clothes fell away slowly. Kisses trailed like fire down skin. Emilio lifted Adrian, carried him to the bed as if he were porcelain and stardust. Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, then wild with the release of years of longing. Adrian cried out Emilio's name over and over, wrapped in sheets and heat and raw emotion. I love you, Emilio whispered, lips pressed to Adrian's temple. Adrian, eyes wet, cupped his face. Then don't let me go again. Never. They made love again, under the moonlight pouring in through the windows, until exhaustion claimed them, hearts full, bodies marked, souls finally aligned. They were no longer just a promise between families. They were everything to each other. The morning mist clung gently to the rolling hills of Tagaytay Highlands, wrapping the world in a cool, ethereal haze. The exclusive chapel stood at the edge of a cliff, a glass-walled sanctuary overlooking the vast Taal Lake below. It was the perfect setting, quiet, majestic, and as breathtaking as the love story it would witness today. Inside the bridal suite, Adrian stood before a full-length mirror, his reflection a vision of timeless elegance. His custom-made ivory suit was embroidered with fine golden vines, reminiscent of his latest haute couture collection. His hair was softly curled, his skin luminous under the morning sun, and his soft brown eyes glistened with something deeper than joy, peace. He never imagined this day would come. 6 years ago, he walked away from this man, from this country, from the pain. He thought he had closed that chapter for good. But here he was now, about to marry Emilio de Leon, the very person who once broke his heart and rebuilt it with fierce love and unrelenting devotion. Are you ready, Bunso? A gentle voice called. Adrian turned with a bright smile. Standing at the doorway was Alexander Villafuerte, his eldest brother, a tall, sophisticated figure in a sharp black tuxedo, still exuding that confident Korean fashion charm. But what stole Adrian's attention was the baby boy, clinging to his brother's neck. Cheeks chubby, lips pouty, and big doe eyes blinking curiously. Adrian froze. Kuya, is that... Alex chuckled and kissed the baby's head. This is Asher, he just turned 1 last week. Adrian's throat tightened. He slowly walked over, heart thumping wildly. Asher? Alex carefully passed the baby into Adrian's arms. Your son Adrian, from the artificial insemination you agreed to before you moved to Seoul. You told the clinic to preserve your sample. Remember? Adrian stared at the tiny boy in his arms. He had Adrian's nose, his full lips. His light brown hair was soft like a cloud, and those almond eyes held a gaze so intense it melted Adrian's chest. He's mine? Adrian whispered, lips trembling. Yes, Alex confirmed. And now he's yours and Emilio's. Your family starts today, Adrian. Tears welled in Adrian's eyes as he pressed his lips against Asher's forehead. Thank you, Kuya. Alex smiled warmly. Give Emilio a reason to be twice the man he's already becoming. The aisle was lined with wild orchids and blush peonies, soft music playing from a grand piano as guests, billionaires, diplomats, artists, and royalty from across the globe turned their attention to the elegant groom, walking with a child in his arms. As Adrian stepped into the chapel, the sun broke through the clouds. He looked like a celestial being, every step radiating purpose and grace. At the altar, Emilio stood frozen, breath stolen. He had seen Adrian 100 times in his dreams. But nothing compared to this. Adrian approached, and little Asher raised his tiny arm toward Emilio. The crowd let out soft gasps and giggles. Emilio, overwhelmed, crouched down and carefully took the baby in his arms. Asher, he whispered, his voice shaking. You're mine too now, Anak. Adrian's hand rested on Emilio's shoulder. We're yours, he whispered. If you still want us. Emilio looked up, eyes glistening. There's never been anyone else. Not since you. The officiant smiled. Shall we begin? Under the stained glass light, surrounded by love and legacy, Emilio and Adrian exchanged vows. Adrian, Emilio said, voice steady, I was once blind and arrogant. I thought love was something to be avoided, controlled, hidden. But you taught me love is something to be fought for. something that makes you kneel, bleed, and rise again. I am yours today, tomorrow, forever. Adrian, wiping a tear, took a deep breath. You shattered me once, Emilio, but you also became the hands that rebuilt me. I love you, not the Emilio of the past, but the man who knelt in front of 1,000 people and asked for another chance. This time, I'm not running away. As they sealed their vows with a kiss, the crowd erupted in joyful applause. Fireworks danced in the sky above Tagaytay as the couple walked down the aisle, hand in hand with Asher nestled between them. The reception was held at an exclusive glass pavilion overlooking the highlands. Thousands of white roses floated on a crystal pool in the center. A string quartet played a medley of Adrian's favorite Korean ballads, and the guests feasted on a fusion of Filipino, French, and Korean cuisines. Careful with the bite marks, Alex teased during the toast, and everyone laughed as Adrian turned bright red, slapping Emilio's arm under the table. Emilio, completely unashamed, leaned close and whispered, "You look better marked." Adrian elbowed him lightly. "You're impossible, but you're mine now." Emilio smirked, his fingers tracing the ring on Adrian's hand. "You can't escape now, wifey." Inside their private honeymoon villa nestled deep in the highlands forest, Emilio watched Adrian from across the room, standing by the glass window, cradling Asher, who had just fallen asleep. "You're staring again," Adrian said softly. "You're mine," Emilio said, stepping closer. "I still can't believe it." "You better believe it. After everything you pulled, can I show you how grateful I am?" Adrian looked up, heartbeat quickening. "He's sleeping. He won't wake up," Emilio whispered, pressing a kiss to the back of Adrian's neck. "But you will." What followed was a night that blurred the lines between love and obsession. Emilio kissed every inch of Adrian's skin, slow and reverent, not just claiming him but worshiping him. The fire between them ignited into something holy, burning away all pain and replacing it with promise. Their bodies moved with practiced hunger and raw tenderness, and by the time the sun rose, their souls were bound tighter than ever before. Adrian lay exhausted in Emilio's arms, head on his chest. "This is it, isn't it? Our forever?" Emilio murmured. "Yeah, this is it." Years later, articles would be written about the fairy tale union of Adrian Villafuerte de Leon and Emilio de Leon, the power couple who redefined legacy and fashion in Southeast Asia. Their son, Asher, would grow up surrounded by love, luxury, and a kind of fierce protection only two powerful fathers could provide. But none of the headlines would ever capture the truth. That once, a boy loved a man who didn't love him back. That love was lost, shattered, and resurrected through time, pain, and choice. And that in the highlands above the clouds, two souls finally found their way home. The end. And that's the end of our one-shot boys love story, mga ka-BL. Thank you so much for joining me on this emotional and passionate ride. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more kilig and heart-wrenching BL content. Share this video with your fellow BL lovers and spread the love. Always remember, love wins, no matter the pain, the past, or the odds. This is RhuiKaida, signing off. See you in the next story.